Welcome to Dove and Dragon Radio. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. I'm here with special guest and author, Brian Harner. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you have the book out, The Diet Rebel, but what led you to make this book to begin with, before we get into what it is?
Okay. Well, what led me to write the book is I wanted to help others find what I found myself. And we'll get into this a little bit more detail, I'm sure. But my story, just really briefly, is at one time I was very overweight, lost 100 pounds, and ended up training, running marathons, losing the weight, and keeping it off for now almost 20 years. And that's basically the basis of the book right there. But just wanted to help people what I found in my journey.
That is an awesome why. Now, having weight fluctuating all these years, most people do, unless you have wonderful genes and you never gain weight and you look at the perfect body. I don't know too many people that do that, but they are there, I'm sure. But we go through fad diets. We go to days of exercising, months of exercising, and then go, who cares?
Right.
So it's great that we have this medium, a book out there, of how you were able for 20 years to have the weight that you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it basically boils down to lifestyle changes, like true changes. Most people, and I did this for many years, right? Gain some weight, go on a diet, lose a few pounds, go off the diet, gain more than you lost, go on a diet, lose a few pounds. It's a cycle. In a book, I call this the diet tyranny cycle, right? And we get caught up in this cycle. And the only way to break that cycle is to, make actual permanent lifestyle changes. And I mean, I discussed this in a book and outline the steps of how to go about doing that. But, from a 35,000 foot view, that's really what you need to do. Now, like my first change, to just give it an example, my first change was going from drinking regular soda to diet soda. Now, we can have a whole discussion about whether diet soda is healthy or not. That's kind of not the point right now, but I made that one change, and I stayed with just that one change until it stuck. Mm-hmm. I mean, now I rarely drink any soda at all, but again, I lost 20 pounds just by making that one change. So, one change at a time till it sticks, becomes a habit, becomes part of your lifestyle. And that's basically how to do it. And diets don't teach that. Fad diets don't teach that. Fad diets teach you to, do a certain system and white knuckle it until you lose the weight you want to lose, right? And that doesn't make any permanent changes. That just, for somebody that needs to lose like maybe 10 pounds, that might work in the short term. But for people like me who are chronic overeaters or have chronic weight issues, mm-hmm. that just doesn't work. We need the permanency.
Right. It's taking, do you want that bowl of nachos or a cup of fruit?
Right.
You have to start with, what do you want? Do you want your life to be that bowl of nachos and be at the weight you are now? Or do you want that cup of fruit? It might not be as filling as the nachos or exciting, but it's healthier for you in the long run.
Right. And the good news is, and this book is not a nutrition book, mm-hmm. right? Although I made a lot of changes now, and my diet is pretty good right now. I still like to have, pizza every now and then and things like that, right? But generally, I eat about 70% vegan, about 90% whole foods. Okay. So generally speaking, I have a fairly healthy diet right now, but you don't have to, and this is where fad diets too kind of fail. Somebody that's used to eating, I don't know, I'm going to pick on, fried foods 3 times a day for years, right? Mm-hmm. To just all of a sudden go from that to like the keto diet, for instance, right? That's a big change, and it's too big of a change. It's too much change at once to stick to. So the process in the book has less to do with going from 0 to 60 as far as, all of a sudden cutting out everything you love to, diet, changing your 100% change your diet to whole foods or anything like that. Because when I actually lost the weight, now I'm more into health and losing weight, right? But back then, when I actually lost the weight, I still ate McDonald's once or twice a week. It's really about how much you take in versus how much you expend when it comes to weight loss. Now, health is a totally different issue, and we can talk about that. But
okay, there's two things that there's here. One, there's a healthy lifestyle, and that comes after you figure out the negative impact that you're having on your body with foods. But you have to change the foods first, but you have to do it slowly. That's
if you want permanent change, yes.
Yeah, if you want permanent change. If you would just need to lose 10 to 15 pounds to fit in that dress for whatever reason, this isn't going to work for you. Well, it will, but
well, it's unnecessary, because if you only have a few pounds to lose, as far as weight now, health again is a different story. But if you only have a few pounds to lose, just go on a few week diet, just stop eating as much, or exercise more, and the pounds would come off, right? That solution's a lot more simple.
Than if you need to lose 100 pounds.
Right.
I mean, if you are up at a size 16 and you want to get down to a size 6, and this is personal experience, you have to change your lifestyle. Right. But you have to do it slowly.
Right. And the first step in that is really figuring out why you're in the situation you're in, right? Determining your why. Like for me, my why of overeating was, it all boiled down to basically I was depressed. I hated my job. I didn't have I moved to a new city and didn't have a lot of friends, So what I did was during work hours, I was bored. So I was a software engineer. So I sat, very sedentary job, sat in a cubicle behind a computer screen all day. And I ate, I snacked, I had big lunches. And then after work, I went out with friends, or went out with my wife to dinner, or I just stayed home and watched TV. But that was pretty much my life. It was all revolved around eating and kind of covering up my bad feelings, eating for comfort to cover up my bad feelings about my day I just had, and even worse, thinking about my day tomorrow, right? So it was all about, for me, it was all about depression and the situation I was in. Now, it wasn't until I was really honest with myself and realized that, I'm depressed, I need to get this taken care of, that the light bulb went off, right? And said, okay, that's why I'm doing this. Let me take care of that. And then I can take the steps necessary to move on.
Right. We hear this. If I don't know how many of our listeners watch 600 Pound Life. A lot of the people there are there because they got depressed. That's the main core reason that people eat. They turn to food for comfort.
Right. Exactly.
Now, it's not a healthy way to manage depression.
Nope.
But you have to come to the realization that you're associating food with depression.
Exactly. And it's not always depression, but it's always filling some sort of void, right? And it might be short term. Like, I'll give you an example. My wife, when she was 22, I guess, her dad just all of a sudden died. His cardiac arrest, his heart stopped, and he was healthy. There was no warning signals or anything like that. Just was packing a suitcase for a trip, and bam, gone. And she went through a 6-month period of eating for comfort, and she gained about 60 pounds. Now, she realized that eating to cover up her sadness was bad, and she lost the weight again. But that was like a short-term sadness. It wasn't like me. I was clinically depressed. I was diagnosed with depression. She wasn't depressed. She was sad, right? Right. Which is sort of the same, but it's a lot different. One's a chronic issue, one's a temporary issue. But once I figured that out, then the next phase was figuring out what I wanted to do about it, like where I wanted to go, right? And for me, I spent all this time focusing on the problem, right? The problem is my weight, and I want to lose weight. So what do I do to lose weight? I go on a diet. Well, diets focus on the problem. It focuses on food. It focuses on, how much you weigh and all that. So what I did was I switched gears and I made a goal that had nothing to do with my problem per se, but I knew if I achieved my goal, I would lose weight. And that goal was running a marathon. And I was at dinner with my wife and I just blurted this out. I said, I'm going to run a marathon. And she started basically laughing at me because at that time I was really overweight and couldn't even run across the street without it being a near fatal event. Right. So, but that was my goal. And I focused on that instead of on my problem. And so setting destinations, and it doesn't have to be a marathon. It could be, you might be pre-diabetic and your destination might be better health and not become a diabetic. That might be another one. Or it could be, I want to lose 50 pounds. That could be a destination, but I still think focusing on number of pounds is more focusing on the problem rather than focusing on a solution. Mm-hmm. And I definitely believe that setting destinations, whether it's better health or getting in shape or running a marathon or whatever, is better than focusing on the actual problem itself.
Right. It's not, if you look at the problem and you only focus on the problem, you're never going to fully get away from the problem. If you mindset is, okay, I have a goal. What do I need to reach that goal? Now, whatever the problem is on the back burner, but you're reaching the solution to the problem by reaching for the goal.
Exactly. Yes.
We hear about this with mindset training and mindset coaching, and it's not looking at the problem. If your problem is XYZ, well, how do you get past XYZ to whatever the goal is?
Right. Exactly.
So I do a little bit of everything, but at the same time, it works for you. It works for general population in the masses, but it's not a diet. Bad diets don't work long term.
No, they don't. And it's because of that cycle. Again, I coined the term diet tyranny, and the diet tyranny cycle is basically you wake up one day, say you decide you're going to lose weight, right? So then you pick a diet, you stick with it for a while, you lose a few pounds, you get tired of doing the diet, pounds come back on, you become depressed or sad or whatever, and you're back where you started, usually even worse off, because usually you put more, at least in my case, I put more pounds back on than what I took off. And then you go for a while just kind of going along with it, right? And then you go, I'm going to lose weight again, right? And you go through that whole cycle again, and it's just over and over and over again. And got to break out of that. And again, answering those two questions, why am I here? Why am I in the shape I'm in? Why am I in the situation I'm in? And where do I want to go? Where do I want to get to? Those are really the two key questions. And once you answer those, the rest of it is then just figuring out how to get there.
Right. We look at the fad diets. You have keto, you have, if you go to Curves or Weight Watchers or whatever, they teach you how to count the calories. But what do? You get fed up because you want that pizza, you want that burger, you want whatever. And then you go back to the program to, oh, I can't have that, so I'm a horrible person.
Right.
And so you leave the program, then you gain all the weight back because you're a horrible person, you're in this mindset, and it's really not that big of a deal.
No, and shaming is not the way to go. Guilting, feeling guilt, feeling shame about anything is not the way to go. Again, like I said, I dropped my first 20 pounds by making one decision. That was going from drinking regular soda to diet soda. Now you got to be careful when you do that, because you can't supplement something else. You can't say, oh, I'm drinking diet soda, so now I can eat more, right? You got to keep everything else the same. Now I did after that decision, I did make another decision. That's running the marathon. I started training for the marathon. So I did start running. Now, at first, I didn't run very far. I mean, I literally ran for a minute, walked for a couple minutes, ran for a minute, walked for a couple minutes, and I had to build up. And it actually took me 4 years to run my first marathon. But during that time, the pounds were steadily coming off. And I kept just making incremental changes. I started out with that diet soda thing. I got my first beginning runner program, and in 10 weeks, I was running from nothing to 20 minutes at a time, and then I went to the next level and the next level and the next level. But I did it one step at a time, one brick at a time. And I didn't try to do it, I didn't get down on myself. Like 1 week, like this is a good story. Right after I started running, I was a couple weeks into it, and I stubbed my toe against my bed and I broke my toe. And I couldn't run for like 5 weeks. And that really set me back, right? Because I was like, I'm going to lose a pound a week and I'm going to be running. I'm going to, blah, 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 blah. But, I had to roll with the punches. And during that time, I ended up not gaining any weight because I was still focused on what I wanted to accomplish. So I didn't backslide, right? I backslid in the sense that I couldn't run for a while, but I didn't backslide into eating more because, again, being focused on where I wanted to go. And at that time, where I wanted to go was, my grand goal was running a marathon, but that time was getting to run 20 minutes at a time. So when I had my broken toe, what was the thing I had to do? I had to let the toe heal so I could get back on track. So we have to roll with the punches. And when life throws a curveball, we can't beat ourselves up.
Right. It's like if you break a foot and you're trying to walk 8 miles a day. Well, you can't walk 8 miles a day unless you want to be in pain while you're walking.
Right.
So, you have to be able to adjust, but at the same time, not lose focus of the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Right. Exactly.
If your main goal is to have a healthier body, which is not overweight or beastly overweight, then you have to stay with your lifestyle changes, not just slide back because, I have an excuse now to eat more.
Right. But even if you do make a mistake, we don't shame ourselves because we just got to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and get back on the horse, as the old cliche says, right?
Right.
And that's very important. And trust me, in 4 years trying to run a marathon, there's lots of failures. There's lots of failures because, I don't want to get up this morning when it's 20 degrees outside and run 13 miles, that type of thing. Or, I want to go out with my friends tonight and I have a scheduled run tomorrow or something like that. So, there's lots of things that can get in your way when you're looking at long term like that. But so that's what how the book starts out. The first part is really talking about those two questions, and the rest then is basically what I learned throughout the course of my journey and research, because I'm a certified weight loss specialist and I'm a certified running coach in the Revolution running method. So I've done a lot of research. I have my own journey. So I kind of compiled all that stuff into an 8-step plan, if you will. And the first part of that is answering those two questions. And the rest is then more about the mechanics and how we go about doing it.
Now, with you doing what you're doing now, are you writing any more books?
Well, right now, I am really focused on helping people lose weight, but I do have plans. The name of the book is Diet Rebel. And I do have plans for future books. I don't know how I'm going to prioritize this yet, but I'm going to go with that rebel theme and be like, I'm obviously a runner. I talk about running a lot. I believe in running. Running is by far the best exercise for weight loss. And we can talk about that, but it really is. If you can run, I realize not everybody can run, but so I'm thinking about maybe writing a running rebel book or a fitness rebel book. I've had interesting relationship with money in my life too. So something maybe called Money Rebel, that type of stuff. Because I really believe that the key to a lot, our society is wrong in many ways, right?
It's broken.
Yes. I mean, the very first chapter about my book is about the standard American diet. And it's so fitting that the acronym for the standard American diet is SAD. And we promote that diet. I mean, you can't turn on TV without seeing a fast food commercial or a Coke commercial, or, you know, maybe I shouldn't say brand names, but, you know, a soda commercial.
It's perfectly fine. But yeah, you have the fast food places out there. You then, following a fast food thing, then you have a commercial for a diet, whatever.
Right.
Is a diet pill, is a diet program, is a diet blah, blah, blah. You know,
right.
This is what we promote. We have the food and then we have the diet. Yes. And we get it into our brains because we're seeing it on TV. Oh, I can eat, then I can diet.
Right. Right. Exactly. And that's where the rebel theme comes in. You know, rebelling against, I'm not really rebelling against diets per se, because you have to diet in the traditional sense, right? It's really fad diets, but what my rebel theme is about is rebelling from society in general, right? The rules that society has. I mean, the rules say, you know, dad bod. You know, I'm a father and people are proud of their dad bods. And I'm like, no, you're killing yourself. You know, don't you want to be around to be a dad? You know, that type of thing. You know, so it's very frustrating, but I mean, we promote the wrong things in society. So that's what we're really rebelling against, is the promotion of overeating, the promotion of all this stuff versus just common sense, good health.
Right. I mean, okay, we have to go back to beginnings. We have to learn good health. What do you, I know they teach this in 2 minutes in school, but what do you need to have good health? It's not going to be eating that bucket of fried chicken, maybe a piece here and there, but not the whole bucket.
Right. Yeah. In my opinion, the start of good health is to have a healthy weight.
Right. You have to have the healthy weight.
Right.
You have to have the mindset to be healthy.
Right.
And then go from there.
Right. Exactly. And exercise. Exercise is a big part of it too, because it's not all, you can be thin, you can eat healthy, but if you never do anything, your body's still going to atrophy. It's still going to break down. If all you're doing is sitting on your office chair or your couch all day, you know, you're not going to feel good. You're going to have sore joints, bad back, whatever, weak muscles, you know, so it's still, we need it all, right?
Yes.
You need to maintain a healthy weight, you need to eat well, and you need to exercise. And they go hand in hand.
My grandmother is the prime example of this. She's in a wheelchair and she has the I can't attitude.
Right.
So it's not that you have an I can't attitude. It's you have to do it if you want to have a healthier lifestyle.
Right. Unfortunately, that attitude is popular, right? And a famous example, though, about that you have to have all the parts together is, I don't know if you know who Jim Fixx is, but no, I don't. Jim Fixx was the runner in the 70s that was very popular, long distance runner, and he's what really started the running craze back in the 70s. And he was world-class runner, but he ate bad food and he smoked. And he ended up dying. I think he was in his 50s when he died. He died relatively young. But his famous quote is, "You can't outrun a bad diet." You know, and you know, he didn't have all areas. You know, he just had one area that he was really great in, which was exercise. But then the other places, you know, the diet and smoking habits is what ended up killing him, even though he was a world-class athlete.
Right. You have to have the whole part of the pie, not just a slice in this case. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to exercise every day and think that you're healthy and that change the diet to go with it.
Right. Exactly.
If you have the bad habits, are going to be what kills you, not the going to the gym, working out every day.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And it all starts with one decision to take it one step at a time.
Very true. And we hear this every day from different points of view, depending on if you're going through rehab for something, for weight loss, for exercising. You have to take each day one at a time. You have to change one habit at a time. You can't change everything overnight.
Right. Right. And we live another flaw of society, in my opinion, is we want the instant gratification. You know, we want everything, and we want everything. Society, now I'm not talking about any individuals, but generally as a society, we want everything now, and we don't want to work for it.
Right.
And, you know, that's just not how the universe is set up to work.
It's not. You want that $30 million in your bank account? Well, what steps do you have to go to get there? It's not going to just fall in your lap.
I mean, even if you win the lotto, you got to go out and buy the lotto ticket, right? You still have to do something, right?
Right. But we are almost out of time. So where can our listeners and our viewers find you?
www.brianharner.com is my personal website, and the book's website is dietrebelbook.com.
Awesome. It was so great talking to you today.
I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
And for our listeners and our viewers, happy reading.